Here's a photo of the sky dancers in Chicago taken way back in 1955. Or in a gondola. Here's a photo of a lesbian couple in semi-drag wedding attire. It was taken way back in the Kingdom of Hungary, specifically Budapest, in the year 1920. Here's a photo from 1941, sailors arriving in New York City. This is a cover of Art and Camera magazine from the year 1952. This incredibly powerful photo shows a man carrying a victim of the Coconut Grove fire. It was taken in 1942. Here's a photo of Benito Mussolini, born in 1883, and his wife, Donna Rachel Mussolini. She was born on April 11th, 1890, and they're at the beach. This was taken around 1929. Benito passed away on April 28, 1945, and Rachel passed away on October 30th, 1979. This photo is all about learning to ride a bicycle back in 1961. Here's a photo of Annie Oakley, dating back to around 1903. Alright, let's take a look at what the Golden Gate Bridge was like while it was being built. Here's a photo of Yuri Gagarin from April of 1961. Two boys heading out fishing in Texas back in 1925. Here's a photo of Charles Lindbergh back in 1927, hard at work on an engine. Here's a wild one. This photo shows a Finnish strongman back in the 1930s. He's casually holding two rifles just with his teeth. Amazing! Wow, check out this awesome photo. It's Albert Einstein at the World's Fair in New York, way back in 1939. Here's a really incredible photo. It shows an American soldier proudly displaying his helmet. This helmet actually saved his life during the Vietnam War. The photo was taken around 1969. It's a shot of Rosalind Russell, and she's riding a bicycle. This was taken on the set of The Trouble with Angels back in 1966. Alright, check out this incredible photo. It's of a tattoo artist in New York way back in the 1920s. Here's a lovely shot from the 1950s. It shows a couple, all smiles, perched right on top of a cannon. What a classic pose. Check out this cool shot of a Chicago train from the 1950s. an Italian grocery shop in New York. The photo was taken back in 1943. Here's a photo from London back in 1903. It shows a mother and her child in Spitalfields, which, at the time, was one of the worst slums in the whole city. This photo shows a classic image, a shoe black from vintage London. Simple as that. This incredible photo shows Georges Terraz II. We see two climbers making their way across the Aiguille du Midi and the Aiguille du Plomb. This was taken way back in Chamonix, France, in 1932. Here's a photo of Marlon Brando and Al Pacino on the set of The Godfather back in 1972. Here's a photo from New York City dating all the way back to 1940. This person's roller skating to work. Here's a fascinating photo from the United Kingdom, taken on March 27, 1940. It shows a horse wearing a gas mask. Here's a great old photo. It's a portrait of two young lads with their baby sibling. The photo was taken in Manhattan, New York, way back in 1918. Alright, let's take a look at this photo. It's of three guys, and it looks like a Halloween card. Here's a photo that really makes you think. It's from Western North Carolina, and it was taken between 1914 and 1917. The saying goes, the less you have, the more you appreciate what you do have. And this picture really seems to capture that idea. This is Zach T. Wilcox, the owner of the world's longest beard. This photo was taken back in 1922. Here's a fun one. This photo shows a man posing with a donkey in his lap. It looks like it was taken sometime in the 1910s, maybe around 1910. Here's a look at something interesting. This photo shows an exhibit at the Bronx Zoo from the 1960s. The exhibit was called The Most Dangerous Animal in the World. A man and the effects of syphilis before effective treatments like Salvarsan and penicillin were even around. This photo was taken sometime between 1880 and 1910. Here's a photo of Disco Granny. She was a regular at Studio 54. Alright, here's a blast from the past. This photo shows a McDonald's restaurant just like the ones you might have seen back in the 1950s. Here's a photo of PSA flight attendants from around the 1970s. Here's a fascinating photo. It shows a bearded lady and a young boy, and it looks like it was taken around 1865. Here's a photo from back in the day. It shows a synchronized swimming lesson. These novice bathers are learning on a merry-go-round at their school in Cincinnati, all the way back in 1930. Here's a shot of Hans-Georg Henke, a 16-year-old German soldier. He was captured by the United States Ninth Army on April 3, 1945. This photo shows Crown Prince Wilhelm of Germany, back around 1915. He's striking a pose while inspecting the troops. Alright, here's a fun one. Check out this photo of sheepfly cargo at the Oslo airport back in the 1960s. This photo is in memory of Erin O'Keefe, who was eaten by mountain rats. Here's a photo of Nikola Tesla. He was just 23 years old back in 1879. A fantastic, iconic car! It's the 1955 Lincoln Futura. And this picture captures its official public debut. That happened on January 8th, 1955, at the Chicago Auto Show. It shows an actress in Chalon, Saigon, back in the year 1900. Here's a shot from way back when. This is the airline's Not Hall Club in New York, taken in 1940. Okay, ready for this one? And here we have the first kiss. Here's a photo that really captures the dedication it takes to keep the Eiffel Tower looking its best. We're looking at workers repainting it, and this photo was taken way back in 1932. Here's a photo of Bruce Lee giving combat training to Sharon Tate. It looks like he's teaching her how to kick, and this was taken in the late 1960s. A young Brazilian girl refusing to shake hands with the military dictator Juan Figueiredo. This picture was taken way back in 1979. Check this out. Some weird German soldiers from World War II. Interesting bunch, aren't they? This photo shows George Gillette, a tribal representative, overcome with emotion. He's crying as 154,000 acres of land are signed away for a new dam in North Dakota. This happened way back in 1948. Here's a shot of kids playing in the Lower East Side of New York back in 1963. This is an Italian grocery shop in New York, all the way back in 1943. Just imagine, a real step back in time. Here's a B-25 Mitchell bomber, just like the one that back in 1945 crashed into the Empire State Building. Here's a candid shot of Audrey Hepburn. It's a sweet one, featuring her with her first son, Sean. Here's Tina Turner up on the Eiffel Tower back in 1989. Alright, check this out. This photo shows some Victorian trick cyclists doing a balancing act. It's from 1891, and you can just imagine the skill involved. Here's a picture of a signal box taken on the 31st of December 1931. We see a railway signalman hard at work managing the controls at Welwyn North Station in Hertfordshire, and as he's focused, an Elna train is just pulling up nearby. This heartbreaking photo shows a young child suffering during a famine in 1946. This photo shows Faces of Auschwitz, taken in 1940. Here's a photo of Jack Nicholson and Angelica Houston. It was taken back in 1971. A photo from February 1908. It shows Lelouvier and his driver in a Werner car just at the start of the New York to Paris automobile race. Here's a photo of Fawzia Fouad, the Princess of Egypt and Queen of Iran, back in 1939. Here's a picture of a child wearing an Indian hat peering out from a coal cellar. Here's a photo of a man in New York back in 1960. He's wearing something pretty remarkable, an external battery-operated heart pacemaker. Here's a photo from France taken in 1944. It shows a French woman with her head shaved being punished for fraternizing with German soldiers. Wow, check this out! It's the world's largest log cabin. It's located in Portland, Oregon in the United States of America, and this photo was taken back in 1938. Here's how Marlene Dietrich showed up in Paris in 1933 after being told not to wear pants upon arrival. Alright, check out this classic shot. It's Sophia Loren taking aim at a pool table. Looks like she's about to sink one. Here's a picture of Robin Williams back in the 80s dressed as a cheerleader. Here's a photo from the United States in 1933. It shows a performer, incredibly, holding herself up with just her teeth. Here's a great shot of two Cub Scouts participating in Operation Shoeshine back in 1972. Here's a photo showing nurses taking children outside to soak up some sunshine. It's all about promoting their health and well-being. This picture was taken back in 1939. This is an X-ray of Albert Fischer's pelvis. It shows needles that he'd inserted into his pelvic area for pleasure. Here's a photo from 1947 featuring a group of high school teenagers. Here's Winston Churchill. Here's a shot of the GE turbine plant in Schenectady, New York, way back in 1940. Here's a cool old photo. This mailman, back in Chicago in 1929, looks like he's got a real mountain of Christmas mail and packages to deliver. You can see just how heavy his load is, can't you? Here's a fun one. This photo shows the Downton Abbey star Dame Maggie Smith looking completely unrecognisable. It was taken way back in 1965 and she's striking a pose on the beach in a polka dot outfit. Alright, let's take a look at urban planning before computers. This photo shows how things were done before AutoCAD came along. You're seeing a glimpse into a time when architects and planners relied on good old-fashioned drafting. They used pencils, paper and a lot of skill, of course. It's a testament to their craft and the ingenuity of the pre-digital era. This photo features Mirin Dejo, also known as the human pincushion. He was a Dutch performer who gained fame back in 1948 for a pretty incredible and maybe a little disturbing act. He would stab himself right through the body with swords and knives. Can you imagine? Here's a fantastic photo. It shows Ella Fitzgerald and Marilyn Monroe at the Tiffany Club in Hollywood, all the way back in 1954. Here's a portrait of Hollowhorn Bear, a man from the Brule tribe. It was taken in 1907. Here's a photo of a really sweet day. It shows the day sweet rationing ended in England way back in 1953. This photo shows a doctor examining a prisoner at Buchenwald. The year was 1945.